Thank you, Emily. Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to call this meeting to order at 2:11. We are not quite ready. We're missing a committee member. Sorry, my apologies. We'll have a restart. Good afternoon, everyone. This afternoon, we're sitting as the Committee of Adjustment. We do have a full complement of committee members. We do have staff present from our clerk's department, and as well our planning department secretary. Good afternoon and welcome. I'd like to call this meeting to order at 2:15. I think I've had a couple of starts at that. Our next order of business is our land acknowledgement statement. The Township of Hamilton is situated within the traditional territory, the Mississauga, Anishinaabe, and Chippewa nations, collectively known as the Williams Treaties First Nations. Our work on these lands respectfully acknowledges their resilience and their long-lasting contributions to the area now known as the Township of Hamilton. Sandra, could I turn to you, please, for the explanation of our process and of the hearing to the public today?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chairman will announce each application as it comes forward, and a synopsis of the report will be given by staff. A full copy of the report is available on the township website should you wish to review that. The floor will be open to the public. Please make yourself known by raising your hand and you will be acknowledged. The order of speaking is as follows. Those persons in support of the application, those persons in opposition to the application, those persons seeking clarification on the application, and the applicant will have opportunity to speak at the end should they desire. All persons wishing to speak to the application must address their comments and questions to the chairperson. And before speaking, you must clearly and slowly state your name and address so that the record is complete. You will be required to come up to the podium, and we ask that you speak directly into the microphone so that all your questions and comments are heard and recorded accordingly. Following public input, members of the committee may make comments or ask questions as they deem necessary. The Committee of Adjustment may make a decision this afternoon on this application. The reasons for their decision and the impact of public input will be provided by the committee members. Those persons requesting a copy of the notice of decision must do so in writing to myself, the Secretary Treasurer, or you may sign the file sheet in the lobby. Please note that some names are already there and you do not need to sign the file sheet again. This application has been before the committee a number of times, and today we are just going to do a quick review. If there's any new information from the public, that will be requested, and then committee will be making their decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandra. Our next agenda item is the confirmation of the agenda. It has been circulated. Can I have a motion to approve, please? Larry, seconded by Mark. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion? Carried. Thank you. Item 5 on our agenda. Declarations of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof. Yes, Counselor.
Through Mr. Mayor, Chair, I have a conflict of interest with this application A1722, which stands from the previous meeting, and so I will have to leave the meeting at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. That shall be noted and recorded. Are there any other declarations of pecuniary interest? Seeing none, that shall also be recorded. Next item on our agenda is the approval of the previous meeting minutes, being the Committee of Adjustment dated January 10th, 2023. Can I have a motion, please, to thank you, Bruce. Seconder, John, to approve those minutes. Any questions or comments? All those in favor of the motion? Carried. Thank you. Business arising from the previous minutes has been spoken to already, in that we have application A17-21, the Blanc, returning to us today. And I shall turn this over to Sandra, if you would, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is in respect of vacant land on Lakeshore Drive in Harwood, Part Lot 5, Concession 9, being Part 1 on 39R1579. The notice of public meeting was circulated on February 3rd, 2023, and the signs are posted on the property on February 3rd, 2023, in accordance with the regulations of the Planning Act. The application is seeking relief from the following sections of the bylaw to permit the construction of a new single detached dwelling. Section 1132A to permit a reduced front setback of 3 meters where a minimum of 20 meters is required. Section 1132B to permit a reduced rear setback of 15 meters where a minimum of 20 meters is required. Section 1132D to permit a reduced exterior side setback of 15 meters where 20 meters is required. And section 1132E to permit a reduced gross floor area of 58 square meters, where a minimum of 89 square meters is required. The applicant's reasons for not complying with the bylaw: construction a dwelling with the zone setbacks is difficult due to the irregular shape of the lot. As previously discussed, the proposal is in keeping with the provincial policy statement and the township official plan, as residential uses are preferred in a settlement area. With respect to the zoning bylaw, the first variance, the property is an existing lot of record with a reduced area and lot frontage on a municipally maintained year-round road. The proposed use is permitted within the waterfront residential zone. The first variance, reduced front setback, is for a variance of 17 meters or 55.77 feet. The second variance for reduced rear setback is a variance of 5 meters, 16.4 feet. The third variance from the exterior side setback is a variance of 5 meters, 16.4 feet. And the fourth variance from the gross floor area of the house is a variance of 31 square meters or 333.6 square feet, or just over 1/3 of the minimum requirement. It's the opinion of this department that the reduction of front setback from 20 meters to 3 meters is not minor in nature, nor is it in keeping with the intent of the zoning bylaw. And it's also the opinion of this department that reduction in gross floor area for the building is not minor in nature, not in keeping with the intent of the bylaw, and not an appropriate development for use of the land, as it's not in keeping with the neighboring development. The agency comments received were all supportive of the proposal with respect to the various criteria that they do review. There were also various questions regarding engineering and building into the hillside, private sanitary system, and off-street parking that will all be formally addressed when a building permit comes forward, should this variance request be approved. And staff will ensure that all aspects are complied with, or else a building permit will not be issued. In the past, there have been various members of the public to come before the committee in support of the application. Joan Burkett, Michelle Cormier, David and Susan Fulfit. And in opposition, Wendy Holloway, Jay Chatton, Pauline Browse, and Tina Greer. At the last meeting, committee member Lovshin did put forth a motion to approve the variances as submitted. However, the motion did not receive a seconder and the motion was lost. It was presumed that the variances were denied. However, upon further review of the Ontario Planning Act, the lost motion does not result in a denial. The committee must have a complete vote on a motion for a valid decision, either formally approve or formally deny the motion with the stated reasons. Since authoring the report, I have received 2 letters. If I could read those to the committee now.
Please.
Thank you. My name is Sherry Peak. I'm a neighbor of Claude LeBlanc. I'm writing to let the committee know that Claude has my full support in his effort to build his retirement home on his vacant lot in our neighborhood. He has been a very good neighbor, and I sincerely hope the committee approves his request. Sherry Peak of 5429 Lakeshore Drive in Harwood. Dear committee members, we are landowners who reside within 60 meters, 196.8 feet of the subject land noted above. We have reviewed the proposed arrangement for this particular lot. We see no reason why this home cannot be constructed, given that due diligence has been done and considered. We wish to add our voices to have assent given to this case. Thank you for your attention. Deborah and Victor Cabral, 5447 Lakeshore Drive, Harwood. In conclusion, the planning department does not support the variances requested for the front lot line or the reduction in the gross floor area, as they do not appear to be minor or in keeping with the intent of the zoning bylaw. However, the committee must satisfy itself that the 4 tests of a variance are met prior to granting the relief for each item requested. Is the relief minor in nature? Does it maintain the general intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw? Does it maintain the general intent and purpose of the official plan? Is it desirable for the appropriate development and use of the land? If one test fails, they all fail, and a variance cannot be granted. However, should the committee grant any of the variances being requested, it is recommended that the following condition be imposed: that a licensed sewage system installer or designer provide a sewage system design for the owner's proposed house. This will clarify soil types, high water table, setbacks from wells, buildings, property lines, etc., as required by the Ontario Building Code Act. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Sandra. I acknowledge that our applicant and agent is present, and we will certainly be coming back to you in a moment after we open the floor for the public input of new information. And I turn to our audience and ask, is there anyone in the audience in support of the application who has not spoken at a previous meeting, submitting written comments to a previous meeting, or has new information to add to this discussion? Seeing none, I shall move on. Is there anyone in the audience in opposition to this application who has not spoken at a previous meeting, submitting written comments to a previous meeting, who has new information to add to the discussion? Seeing none, is there anyone in the audience seeking clarification of the application who has not spoken at a previous meeting, submitting written comments to a previous meeting, or has new information to add to the discussion? Seeing none, I shall turn to our applicant and agent. I suspect that Mr. Clark will be speaking at this time. Please, Mr. Clark, even though we all know you, come to the podium and identify yourself appropriately.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. My name is Bob Clark. I'm with Clark Consulting Services. Marlena is with our office, and she's passing out the notes that I will be reading from so that you have a written record of what I'm about to say. Thank you for the opportunity of making this presentation. And I acknowledge that, and what I've organized here is with respect to the 4 tests for the minor variance. I wanted to emphasize that they're not mathematical. They're based on impact, and we see little negative impact here for these tests. The most probable one is is it minor? And there are as a result of the work that has been done by Claude, and there is no safety hazards. The distance from the corner of the dwelling to the actual traveled road is 19 meters. And it's questionable whether the lot line that goes along the parkland is actually a front lot line, because it actually functions as a side lot line, and it does not abut a traveled road. So that the building is located on an angle to the lot line, and only the corner of the building needs the 3-meter relief for the first minor variance. We've also been in contact with the Conservation Authority. They've indicated, as your staff have indicated, that there is no adverse impact on Rice Lake. The Conservation Authority supports the requested setback from Rice Lake, as well as the configuration of the septic tank and the well, so that Claude has demonstrated through the various consultants that there is an ability to not only provide the building, but also to provide services. There's no adverse impact on the parquet, because, as been stated previously by the Friends of Harwood, the use of the parquet has already been negatively affected. And it's our opinion that the reduced 3-meter side yard will not create a negative impact on the parquet itself. With respect to the gross floor area of the building, the site is appropriate based the challenge is the shape of the lot itself. And the site has been demonstrated that it is appropriate for a 2-story building. However, it's our opinion that a 1-story would be more appropriate for this site. And because of the shape of the building, that means that we are seeking a reduced gross floor area in order to make that more consistent with the setbacks and the building area that's available. The proposed 1-story dwelling will help to retain the existing lake views for the neighbors and for visitors to the parquet. And this is the basis for the requested review for the gross floor area, which is the other critical minor variance here. And although we acknowledge that the owner is prepared to build a 2-story building, it's our opinion that a 1-story building would be more in character with the adjacent uses and with the neighborhood. The second test is, does it maintain the general intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw? And we just acknowledge that the property is zoned in a waterfront residential zone. This is an existing lot of record, and the single detached dwellings are permitted in zoning. So it's our opinion that it does maintain the general intent and purpose. And again, test number 3, does it maintain the general intent and purpose of the official plan? And this is in a rural settlement area. Both the provincial policy, the county official plan, and the township official plan designate these lands for development, for intensification, and for redevelopment. And because it's an existing lot of record, in our opinion, it does meet the general intent purpose of the official plan. The 4th test, is it desirable for the appropriate development and use of the land? Our client has spent a considerable time and money on the requested studies. He's demonstrated to the satisfaction of the building department, the public works and roads department, the fire department, the conservation authority, county planning, and the county plumbing department, that they are satisfied that this is appropriate and that can be developed as indicated. It's noted that there are some additional studies that will be required for the final permits, but it's our opinion that they should be available and should pose no difficulties. The plans and studies that have been prepared illustrate that this is a viable lot of record. And carefully considering the designs, then the considered designs have ensured that the dwelling can be constructed with all necessary servicing without creating any negative impact on neighboring properties, either as a result of access or as a result of drainage, which were issues that were raised. So in my opinion, the approval of this minor variance will not create a precedent, that it is appropriate. And I'm certainly available if there are any questions that you have. Yeah.
Mr. Clark, I have one question. It may be just in me hearing or understanding your comment. And that is your reference to the corner of the building that's down at 3 meters. If we were to have a drawing that had the required setback of the 20 meters to the road allowance, what percentage of the proposed building envelope would be then impacted?
It would be, I don't know the exact percentage, but it would be a majority.
Okay,
And I just want to emphasize that this doesn't function as a traditional front yard.
if I could have, thank you, Mr. Clark. In this particular case of that comment about its function, I'll turn to staff. What are we deeming this setback as in our zoning document? Front yard?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the lot line between the road allowance and the property is the front lot line. I understand the applicant's opinion that at this point along the road allowance, it is viewed as a side yard. But in fact, the legal definition within our zoning bylaw is that this is the front lot line.
And our regulations are required to go by the regulations, not the view.
Correct.
Thank you. So for me, I want to make sure. If we applied the 20 meter setback to be taken substantially a very high portion of the building envelope.
Correct.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from committee members? Bruce?
I just had one, is they will roll out up there and is it been sold? But
Well,
it
we'll-
appears that
We'll throw that to staff. I certainly have my own opinion and understanding of that, but I'll throw that to staff. Sandra, if you could.
I haven't found documentation to that effect as yet. If other staff members or former council members have any recollection of this being closed with respect to the park plan that went forward last spring, summer, that might be of use, but I haven't found any information regarding this being a closed and stopped up road allowance.
Thank you. Any other questions from committee members? Seeing none, I would ask for a motion, please. John, please.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I motion the minor variance request be denied as they do not meet the four tests. And the reason the setbacks or the floor space do not appear to be in minor in nature or in keeping with the intent of the zoning bylaw.
Thank you, John. Do we have a seconder for that motion? Seconded by committee member Bruce. Do we have any other questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll call for the motion. All those in favor of the motion to deny? A recorded vote has been requested and that will be done.
Member Loveshin, nay. Member Davison, yay. Member Brothers. Chairman Jib,
Yay.
the yeas have it 3-1.
Thank you.
So it's denied.
It's denied. I should now turn to staff. And I seem to be missing a paper. Sandra,
Yeah, right there.
yeah, well,
If I may, Mr. Chairman, there have been some changes to the Planning Act as per Bill 23, which was in 2022. Only the applicant, the minister, a specified person, or any public body may file an appeal to the decision of the Committee of Adjustment. The notice of appeal must be submitted to the Secretary Treasurer within 20 days of the decision. The appeal will be forwarded to the Ontario Land Tribunal. The notice of appeal must set out the objection to the decision and the reasons in support of the objection, and be accompanied by the payment of $400 in favor of the Minister of Finance. If no such notice is given, the decision of the committee is final and binding. Thank you.
thank you, Sandra. Moving on in our agenda, item D is new business. And we have none. Item 9 is new business consents. We have none. Item 10 is other business. And we are about to move into closed session for training. In that I have a prepared motion that we will be motion to move to a closed session to discuss matters permitted under section 239, 3.1, education and training. And we will be moving to OACA training videos, and they are voluntary for committee members to committee room B. And that I would ask for a motion that the committee of the whole
Committee of Adjustment. Oh, that was Daphne's. Committee of Adjustment.
Committee of Adjustment. Committee of the Adjustment on February 14, 2023, moved into closed session at 2:41 under the Municipal Act 239, 3.1 to receive education and training. And that our next function of business will be adjournment because there will be no other business other than viewing videotape. Moved by Larry. Second by John. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? Carried. Thank you.
Thank you.